Yo, it's Jay here from Full-Time Devils. United losing 4-1 in Michigan against Liverpool. Obviously not the result we wanted, but it's not the end of the world. It's not the most important game, is it? US tour, more of a run out for the kids. United didn't start with an experienced team. Liverpool had a much stronger team. They had the likes of Mane, they had Mo Salah, of course, they had Van Dijk. United went with a much more youthful setup. There was some experience for United. Herrera was captain. Early news, team news, was that Chris Smalling, who was due to start, actually didn't. Eric Bailly came in for him due to what's been labelled a precaution, so I don't think it's anything too serious. He was swapped for Eric Bailly. And there's a lot of youngsters in the United team, players like Mitchell, McTominay, Andreas Pereira. Liverpool went ahead with a penalty, shock. Mo Salah being fouled by Mitchell and Mane converting the penalty. And then not long after that, we saw a real touch of class by Andreas Pereira. Pereira's looked the part on this pre-season tour. We always say, oh, you know, you can't tell a lot about pre-season, about players over a pre-season tour. It doesn't really tell you too much. But Pereira really has shone. He's looked really comfortable in that midfield, a much deeper midfield role than perhaps we're used to seeing him. He's one of those players that likes to attack and get forward, but he's been sort of sat in front of the defence. And he took a free kick just after Liverpool scored. Absolute pearl of a free kick. Keeper didn't even move. That made it 1-1. From then on, went to half-time, second half. There was a lot of changes going around. Liverpool sort of kicked on. Shaqiri came on for them. Sturridge came on for them. They got another penalty. Sturridge got a goal as well. Just, I think that was before, or just before the penalty. And then Shaqiri, he scored with an overhead kick in the area. So not a great finish for United, 4-1. But there were some positives. Mainly, the main positive, I should say, was Andreas Pereira. Defensively, we looked a bit all over the place. Little bit nervous, didn't really have anyone at the back who looked comfortable. Although Eric Bailly is an experienced defender, we still looked a little bit disjointed. I didn't think Herrera played particularly well. He gave the ball away a few times, gave away a lot of free kicks, which he often does. One thing that sort of stood out was in the first half at least, was Lee Grant. I thought he had a good game and he looked really positive. And I know that sounds daft, he's only a third choice keeper, but he seems like a sort of player, you know, he's got this move to United and he's enjoying it. And I think, you know, we probably won't see much of him other than a pre-season tour and maybe the odd cup game, but he looks like a player that's, you know, at 35 I think he is. He's revelling in the fact that he's got to move to United. It's obvious we're missing the players that we are missing, the likes of Pogba, the likes of Lukaku, De Gea, Lingard, Rashford. I could go on. They've been missing all pre-season and it's shown, and it showed really today. And this was a sort of the biggest test we've had because I think, as I mentioned earlier, Liverpool had a lot more experience. They had the players like Mane, like Salah, like Milner, Lallana. Then they can call upon the likes of Sturridge and Shaqiri to come on. So they're always going to have that sort of experience. And, you know, they went for it. I think from what I gather, the crowd, though it was about 101,000, was slightly tipped in their favour, or might have been massively tipped in their favour. I don't know. There was more Liverpool fans there from what we're hearing from the people that were there. So that might have helped. Some had the usual, you know, you'll never walk alone before kick-off, as you know, we all love to hear. You can't take too much from these games, but I think one positive you can take from it is the experience some of the young players get from going on tour. The likes of Chong, the likes of Mitchell, being amongst the first team. And the main one is, as I mentioned earlier, Andreas Pereira. He's really shone. He's showing, you know, it's being talked about that it's giving Mourinho something to think about. And on one hand you might say, well, hang on a minute, what's he got to think about? It's only a pre-season tour. But on the other hand, you look at it and you think Pereira's really playing well, and you can't ignore that. The fact he is playing well, and today he's playing well against a good side, and he's bringing something different to the team. He's picking out those passes. He likes to mix it up a bit as well. He can go short and go long, and he's not afraid to get stuck in. He was physical today as well, which is another side to his game we've not always seen. So he's been a real positive. I'd love to see him given a chance at United this season. I don't want to see him go out on loan. I want to see him, I wouldn't say what see him start of a game or anything silly like that, but I think that it could be a different option for us. You know, we know the games are going to come thick and fast. We know we've got Fred who can play midfield, we've got Matic, we've got Herrera, we've obviously got Paul Pogba. But over the course of the season, there's no reason why Pereira couldn't play 15, 20 games, why he couldn't come in to some of the cup games, where if you do get an injury, he couldn't be the player in midfield that Jose Mourinho turns to, because that's one area we always criticise Mourinho for. He's not giving youth a chance. And I think that Andreas Pereira, has really given him food for thought. Ended 4-1. Listen, if we'd have won, I'd have said this really matters, but we didn't, so it doesn't. Thanks a lot.